Hello?
I have your boy.
The Dutton Ranch season finale delivered the kind of gut-punch ending fans had been begging for since the premiere, and it left the entire Yellowstone universe fan base reeling in the best possible way. Will Carter actually survive being taken by Mariano's men, or has the show just written its most beloved young Dutton straight into a body bag? Will Oreana Jackson choose her own bloodline over the baby she's now carrying, a baby that might belong to a boy the cartel currently has locked in a room somewhere in Mexico? Is Beulah Jackson's empire about to collapse from the inside out, now that her own son ordered a hit on his own brother? And does Beth Dutton's ice-cold, profanity-laced threat in the final scene mean Season 2 opens with her and Rip going full scorched earth on an entire cartel? Every single one of those questions has an answer, and this breakdown covers all of them. Anyone who wants breakdowns like this one, the moment new footage drops, should hit subscribe and tap that like button right now, because it genuinely helps this channel keep bringing the deepest Yellowstone universe coverage on YouTube. The single most important moment in this finale is the instant Carter Green gets pulled out of Dwight's old house by Mariano's men, because it reframes everything the season had quietly been building toward. For most of its run, Dutton Ranch played like a slow-burn family drama about starting over in South Texas, but that final abduction turns it into something genuinely terrifying. What makes it worse is that only 2 people knew Carter was even at that house, and neither of them looks innocent anymore. It is a heartbreaking twist for a character fans have watched grow up since the earliest days of the Yellowstone universe, and the fact that he's now a bargaining chip rather than a bystander is completely unexpected. However, the situation is far more complicated than it first appears, because Mariano didn't take Carter for Carter's sake. Rip made that painfully clear the moment he told Beth that the cartel doesn't actually want their son, they want the 2 of them. That should be reassuring, since it suggests Carter has value as leverage rather than as a target, but unfortunately, leverage only stays valuable as long as Beth and Rip play along, and anyone who has watched this family for more than one episode knows that playing along was never going to happen. The most likely explanation for what fans just witnessed is that Carter survives the opening stretch of Season 2, specifically because Mariano needs him alive to draw Beth and Rip out into the open. The evidence for this is sitting right there in the finale itself, since Mariano's entire operation depends on control and negotiation rather than blind violence, and a dead hostage gives him nothing to negotiate with. And if this theory proves correct, the consequences for Carter are still enormous, because survival does not mean safety. It likely means an extended sequence of captivity that forces Beth and Rip into the kind of brutal, no-rules rescue mission that made the original Yellowstone legendary. But that development raises an even more dangerous question about Oreana Jackson, the one person caught directly in the middle of all of it. The evidence strongly suggests that Oreana's pregnancy is not a minor subplot, but the emotional fuse that ignites the entire second season. She found out she was expecting in the same episode her brother was murdered by their own father's order, and she still had not told Carter before he was taken. Fans watching closely will notice that this timing is not an accident, because a baby that may or may not belong to a Dutton instantly ties the 2 warring families together in a way gunfights alone never could. What the show appears to be building toward is a paternity reveal that forces Oreana to choose between protecting her mother's crumbling empire and protecting the child she's carrying, along with the young man she claims to actually love. The tragedy of her situation is that she may not get to make that choice freely at all, since Beulah Jackson has already proven she will bury inconvenient truths, sometimes literally. But that same instinct for self-preservation raises the biggest question of the season, the one surrounding Mariano Reyes himself. The trailer for the finale hinted at a mysterious ranch hand with a hidden past, and the actual episode confirmed that fans had been right to be suspicious the entire time. What the evidence makes clear is that Mariano did not simply become a cartel boss overnight. He was manufactured into one by the Jackson family's own secrets, forced into exile after taking the blame for a death that was never his fault. Every detail in this finale points to a man who is settling a decades-old score rather than simply running a drug operation, and forcing his own son to kill his other son is proof that Mariano has fully embraced the darkest version of himself. The most logical conclusion is that Season 2 will not just be Beth and Rip against a cartel, it will be a reckoning for the entire Jackson family and everything Beulah has spent her life hiding. While the main conflict dominates the finale, there is another storyline quietly unfolding that every fan needs to pay attention to, and that is Everett McKinney's slow unraveling. What makes this moment so painful for fans is that Everett rekindled something real with Beulah, only to discover the full scope of what she had built behind his back. He has already proven he can still handle himself in a gunfight, but the emotional toll of loving a woman capable of what Beulah has done is likely to push him into a far more dangerous role in Season 2, possibly as the one insider willing to turn against the Jacksons entirely. Every fan who has followed Everett's quiet, weathered performance so far will feel the weight of that betrayal land differently than any of the season's gunfire, because this is a man who has already buried enough in his life without adding Beulah's secrets to the pile. The evidence suggests his loyalty is not gone yet, but it is hanging by a thread, and the moment that thread snaps could hand Beth and Rip the exact inside man they need to finally bring the 10-petal empire down. What makes this development even more significant is its connection to what fans have already witnessed elsewhere in the Sheridan-built world these characters live in. The cartel storyline threading through Dutton Ranch echoes a similar deal with the devil arc that played out on Landman, where an oil man found himself entangled with a drug operation he never should have trusted, and fans online have already started drawing that comparison directly. Some have voiced real fatigue at seeing another cartel plot recycled across the wider universe, and that frustration is worth taking seriously. But the evidence in this finale suggests Mariano's story is rooted specifically in the Jackson family's own buried history, rather than a generic cartel subplot borrowed from elsewhere. That distinction matters, because it means the fallout in Season 2 is personal to this ranch and this family, in a way the comparison doesn't fully capture. After everything this finale has revealed, after every theory and every unresolved thread it has left dangling, the question every fan is now asking is the simplest and most important of all: when does Season 2 actually arrive? Dutton Ranch was renewed before its own finale even aired, a decision driven by a record-breaking debut for the platform, but production has not yet begun, and a new showrunner has just stepped in to replace the one who departed before Season 1 premiered. Based on everything the production timeline has confirmed so far, a premiere sometime in the back half of 2027 looks like the most realistic target, though a slip into 2028 is not out of the question given the show has not entered filming yet. The wait is going to be longer than most fans want to hear, and based on what this finale just did to the entire cast of characters, that wait is going to feel very long indeed. Now the conversation moves to the fans. Does Carter make it out of captivity in one piece, or does the show finally kill off a character audiences have followed since the very start of this universe? Is Oreana carrying a Dutton, and if so, will that truth pull her toward Beth and Rip, or push her deeper into her mother's world? And after everything Beulah has done, does Everett finally turn against the woman he loves, or does he get pulled back in one more time? The video on screen covers everything else fans need to know before Season 2 drops.